Damn, son, where'd you find this?
People don't be offended by the truth. They be offended because you called out the truth. Simple as that. They don't want to hear any other narrative that makes them look bad.
One thing I can't stand at this big grown age is somebody who act like cause and effect does not exist. Like, yes, your actions caused this outcome. Yes, what you did lit the match. Like, why are you surprised and playing victim?
Guys, Chico, they never lie.
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late. They cancel last minute, forget the things you've told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it.
What up? What up? What up? What up? Happy Monday, good people. What's the word? Glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. I hope all is well with each and every single one of you. Thank you for being here this evening. Good to be back. Shout out to my poets, my writers, my content creators. You know the routine. I give my flowers out where they are just and where they are due. I love my poetry community. You see the title. I got the crew in the building. We got to chop it up. And why not start it off with a banger? I got a clip for us. Let me bring everybody up here. My thoughts and prayers go out to Zay. Brother Zay is under the weather. He's still fighting that flu, that bug, man. So y'all keep him in y'all thoughts while he trying to heal up. You know what I'm saying? Let's get everybody up on the big screen real quick. Coach Zay. No, not Zay. Sorry. Rob. Yo, what up? What up? What up?
Yo, what up? Been a minute. How everybody doing?
Yes, sirski. Happy Monday.
All right, man. Hey, look. Y'all see the title. Let me bring this up on the big screen. I didn't know this was a thing until I seen it a few days back. I just kept it in the reserves. I feel like it would be better to have everybody speak on this versus me just doing my regular reaction to it. So, let me go ahead and play this real quick.
George Zimmerman is struggling. George Zimmerman is struggling. You know the man who took the life of Trayvon Martin? This George Zimmerman. He tries to file a lawsuit against the family of Trayvon Martin. So apparently he cannot find work. He is struggling to find a place to live because nobody wants to be connected to the person who took the life of a young black man. Shocking. This is his explanation also for why he is holding little press conferences, signing bags of Skittles, and all these other things. Not the fact that he's racist. But yes, to keep your spirits up, the man is struggling to get anything in life. Because at the end of the day, it does not pay to be a racist. It does not pay to be somebody who took the life of an innocent young black man. And I pray, with everything in my soul, I pray that there's an afterlife, right? Because I want him to pay for everything that he has done. George Zimmerman.
I think we're all pretty familiar with the George Zimmerman case, the Trayvon Martin case. That was a tragic day. I know the family went through a lot with that. I know the community was pissed off about it. We never really officially spoke about it on this side of the internet, but fast forward, he got off, but from what you see, he didn't really get away with it, even though he got away with it. Let's go around with our initial thoughts on the clip. How do you feel about the verdict overall? Let's just start there. I don't want to go too deep into it yet. Let's just start there. Let's go with Rob.
Peace, man. Of course, I gotta do the right thing. Can't go off crazy like I want to. Especially first of all, shout out to his parents, Trayvon Martin parents. We ain't forget y'all. We ain't forget him. My initial thoughts was that he should have went to prison because, and I don't wish bad on nobody. I think he should have went to prison because the dispatch told him to stop his pursuit. Every time I listen to that situation and I hear the dispatch saying, don't follow, you're not the police, we're gonna send the police. He should have been arrested for breaking that law automatically. Second, that's a child and it's not your neighborhood, so following a whole child who had Skittles and a Arizona iced tea in his hand because he had a hoodie and he was walking through the neighborhood. I ain't like that. I ain't like they did the GoFundMe for him. He had all types of money. And then they said after a while, he was still running around waving his gun. So that's a slip on behalf of the justice system. And I don't wish no, ill on nobody. But a lot of time will come around, go around. And that's something that we ain't gonna never forget. And I'm in Florida. We ain't gonna never forget. That hurt. It still hurt to this day because at the end of the day, I can't speak for everybody, but I feel like there's a target on black men's backs and the kids. It's a 12-point system and it's a war without saying too much. And that was a time to where killing our people was justified for absolutely no reason.
Coach, what about you?
On the video we just watched?
The video, the trial.
I mean, the video, I don't even understand. It was some dude giving his opinion on something that We never really got to see what he was giving his opinion on, so it didn't do much for me. The trial, and then everything Rob just said, I agree with Rob.
Sid, what about you?
Well, for the trial, I do, just from me looking into it now, I don't really know what would have motivated him to pursue this lawsuit. He did definitely lose. They dismissed the lawsuit. And just because I have it kind of fresh in my mind, I recently watched a documentary on like frivolous lawsuits. It makes me have parallels to that, where it feels like he might have just been doing that to clear his name or prove a point or something like that. The amount he was asking for also could have been to potentially like, oh, get me back on my feet. But he does have a history of kind of capitalizing on this whole situation that he involved himself in. As if people don't know, like when he was on the phone with the 911 caller, she repeatedly told him like, do not pursue him, but he did anyways. And after that event, he tried to sell the weapon that he used to kill him as an American icon online. He also got in trouble with Twitter for posting pictures of, I believe it was his body. And then he also has had other incidences that got him banned on Twitter. So he just from my perspective, it seems like he probably didn't have the best intentions to commit this lawsuit or to go forward with this lawsuit. To me, it seems like he probably would have done this for A, the money, or B, to control the narrative, make it so it seems like, oh, he's the victim in this situation. But that's just kind of from what I have been reading, not so much from the video. But yeah, this is also an older case. This was in 2022 that the case got dismissed. So I am curious to see if I can find any updates of what he's been up to since then, because that could give some hint at the purpose of this lawsuit, what he was intending to do with it. Because I do know that he doesn't believe he was in the wrong.
My condolences to the family. Shame on anyone who really went out of their way to try to purchase the weapon, because I remember that very vividly. Like he really had the nerve to try to go online and sell that. It was like he was slapping everybody in the face, from the judicial system all the way down to the Black community itself. And stories like this, unless you are one of those people who believe in keeping someone's memory alive, and you want to be a constant reminder that we live in a world where everything isn't what it seems to be, and you need to constantly be with your head on a swivel, then you probably wouldn't understand how impacted people were by this. This case alone had people walking differently for a little bit. I mean, the whole hoodie thing itself, even to this day, when you see that, you think of him instantly. This resurfaced on my Explorer page like doing my timeline as I'm scrolling, and I had no idea that he had I didn't even know he had a GoFundMe set up for him. I didn't even know that he was really out here trying to get people to fund his lifestyle after he is the reason why somebody lost theirs. All of it was tragic. All of it was a constant reminder that our justice system needs to be looked at deeper, that they don't really care as much as we would like them to care, that we're not being treated as equal as they say we are. And I really don't feel bad for him at all. He got off easy as far as I'm concerned. This is a part of his atonement to me. And quite frankly, anybody who is still trying to help him out, that's another conversation that needs to be looked into. Let me ask a question. Should anybody feel bad for him? Should anybody feel like he has every right to go and seek resources and call out to the public to help get him back on his feet? Is it our responsibility? Should we have empathy for him?
You want to know something? And really no, but what I noticed over time is the people that do the worst things have the worst things happen to them. Like they go on and on and on, and then when something happened to them, it just throws them. It's just horrible, and you gotta end up protecting them, which is like wild to me. The way he carried on after, I think he had some domestic issues. They said he pulled out his gun a couple times. He sided with the 3Ks or whatever, like all types of stuff. After a while, you know, when you, it's like if you was a gangster, you can't live that life all of a sudden and then be like, hey, I'm telling, or you know what, this is it. I don't, you know what I mean? A lot of times when you do certain stuff, I know they got the Bible, and the Bible says, you know, you repent and give it up, and all of a sudden, but you know, some things, a lot of times you don't come back from. You know what I'm saying? And that hurt, because at the end of the day, regardless of what, he killed a kid. I don't care if it was white, black, purple. You killed a child, and you willingly pursued this child and made sure that you didn't stop till you killed the child, and you felt big about it. So your soul got to be tormented with that, because you ain't pick on nobody your own sex. You got to feel that. You're going to feel that for the rest of your life. And at the end of the day, because if the justice system didn't drop the ball, then we wouldn't have to be talking about this right now. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that you still walk around willy-nilly, I don't know who's going to fund you, because even right now, you know, they good at hiding in plain sight. But at the end of the day for him, I don't know if you really just going to jump behind that.
Yeah, bro. I believe in karma. I believe God's justice will always be better than our justice. Right? You can be passionate and angry, and you can be hurt. Like somebody can do you just all kind of dirty, and you have every right to be angry and upset and want to play vigilante. I mean, that is natural. At the end of the day, we already know that there are just some things that's out of our control. And the fact that he even survived this long after that situation, like, really put it in perspective. You killed a black kid in Florida. You know the stereotypes. You know they already say that we ignorant, that we don't know how to carry ourselves. We don't know how to move strategic. Everything we do is violent, you know, and this pissed off a lot of people. But the fact that you actually lived to see another day, agree to disagree with the sentencing and all that, with you flashy and showboating at the fact that you got away with this, just off the strength that nobody did anything to you after all of this. God definitely kept you, bro. And like, I'm being devil's advocate to say you could have easily had your life taken. Like some YN, pay him the right amount of money, or just them doing it off the strength that it was a white person who did such and such. Well, all right, tit for tat. The fact that nobody touched you, to me, I felt proud, and I also felt torn, right? Because people who are stuck on revenge, and you did this to me, so I'm gonna do this to you, they'll feel like you deserve exactly what he got. The other part of me knows that only God can really decide what your permanent sentencing is going to be. That you can get away with whatever you get away with on this planet. The judge can be crooked, your family can be crooked. ICE, we see what ICE just did and what they continue to do. It don't really matter. At the end of the day, we are not the final judge and executioner. So it's like I'm kind of proud that nobody put hands on them, because they easily could have. Like, it takes a level of restraint, and yeah, you could have it extremely worse, So I mean, I don't feel bad for him. I don't, because as far as I'm concerned, this is light. What bothers me though is you trying to sue the family. How the hell are you trying to sue the family after what you did? Like, how does that shit make any sense?
He also tried to sue in a different lawsuit to lawmakers as well, around the same time period.
So you that cocky and that arrogant? That means what? You don't have no type of compassion whatsoever at the fact that this. Well, we already knew that when you tried to sell merchandise, that you ain't had no compassion. And even to this day, I guarantee you he still doesn't. You ain't learned your lesson. It's like you're getting a second chance after a second chance. You know how there's people who just do fucked up shit to people, and they just you don't know how the hell they keep getting away with it. It's like, damn, why they keep on, they're the worst of the worst, but they still be like, God be letting people slide on so much stuff. He don't even really understand, bro. You're giving or getting a chance to redeem yourself. To us, to some of us, there is no coming back from that. You can't take back what you did. You took a life. You took a young kid's life, and you got this racist spirit in you. Some people, they cannot separate their personal feelings from how the higher power would look at this. Because to the God, he might think that there's something in him that still needs to be done. There's something in him that he needs in order for someone to see in him something. To us, it's like, man, kill this motherfucker. Man, we don't need this wasted. Get him the fuck out of here. You know? So I don't think he really comprehends the gift that he has right now. That's my take. We're talking about George Zimmerman and him trying to sue Trayvon Martin's family and a couple of other individuals.
Hey, I'll tell you a true story. I saw his parents. So in Florida A&M University, for homecoming, attorneys Parkers and Crump used to throw a party every year, free party too. Good food, everybody there would come, vibe out, network a little bit, just have a good time, represent FAMU. And I saw his father, I saw Trayvon Martin's father and his mother. And a lot of times I'd be starstruck, so I don't be knowing what to say. And the first thing I said, I'm gonna still wear my hoodie forever. And he said, you know, as long as you don't do nothing stupid. And I looked at him, I said, okay, you know, and they said a speech at this party in particular to where they asked for there to be no violence carried on to that man. And they prayed, you know what I'm saying? They left it up. So it's crazy because that was at least 6-7 years ago. And I still remember, because at first I remember saying that, and I still do wear my hoodie. You know what I'm saying? Every chance. And then just even with that, at our school, they ban hoodies. In our district right now, they ban hoodies. Especially at the high school, they're not supposed to wear them. I don't know, you know
why.
I guess it makes the kids unidentifiable. I'm guessing. I don't know, you know, but it's cold. It's gotten cold. It's gotten cold. So I don't know, you know, like I said, I gotta be, but years later, like I said, I'm gonna still wear mine, you know what I'm saying? And with another good thing that I heard about, that I saw, the owner of the Arizona Iced Tea Company, he did a lot for the Black community right after that because he felt like it was a travesty as well.
I wanted to add, partially to answer the question, do I feel bad for him? And then partially to touch on something that you said, of some people just kind of keep getting away with this stuff. And he has a history with this type of behavior. Even before the incident, he was known on Twitter for saying really racially disgusting things, without going into much detail. He, in 2013, was arrested for, or he was charged with a felony for assaulting his girlfriend's or estranged wife's father, and threatening her with a weapon. In November of the same year, he was charged with felony aggravated assault after he pointed a shotgun at a different girlfriend during a domestic violence incident, which was later dropped. In January 2015, he was charged with domestic assault after he threw a wine bottle at a different girlfriend. The charges were then dropped. In September 2014, he was named by police in a road rage incident where a driver claimed that he followed and threatened him He basically, the person, I'll call him Apperson, approached him over a leaking tire, and Zimmerman said that, let's see, he explained this to Apperson before Apperson asked Zimmerman if he knew he was wrong for killing that black boy. So he was confronting him about the incident, and he basically was, let's see, Apperson shot at Zimmerman, and then Zimmerman went to the police, but Apperson was saying that Zimmerman was the aggressor, and that Apperson was acting in self-defense. So they didn't get it on camera, so they don't know who's telling the truth, but he's saying, the guy with the gun was saying that he was being aggressed, and then Zimmerman was saying that the other kid was aggressing him. So they didn't really specify what that one is, but he was involved in another shooting incident. Again, apparently that man had a fixation on him, so I guess I am leaning more towards probably the guy did come after him, but he still was involved in this particular incident. In 2013, he also was selling paintings that depicted Confederate flags, and that was also around the time that he was trying to sell the gun. He also, as I said, he was banned on Twitter, finally in 2015, for posting a lot of racist things about Obama, and a couple news reporters, comments about Trayvon Martin, and he eventually was completely removed because he tweeted photos of his ex-girlfriend nude, accusing her of cheating and theft, and he basically put her on that full frontal to get back at her. And then let's see, 2016 is the sale of the gun. Another episode in 2016, he was kicked out of a bar because he started harassing a waitress, and they had to remove him from the bar because he was yelling racial slurs and attempted to get physical, and was also refusing to pay his tab. And then the lawsuit in 2019 where he tries to sue the Martin family, and then again in 2020 he sued a defamation lawsuit against Pete Buttigieg and Elizabeth Warren for defamation of character, which was again dismissed in 2021 because he failed to sufficiently allege an essential element of defamation. And that's kind of where the frivolous lawsuit type of idea comes to mind, because it just seems like he's trying to go at anyone who is involved in his situation. But he has a history of this type of behavior, confrontational behavior, racist behavior, and he does not seem to own up to the fact or show any sign of remorse for what he did. Because if somebody genuinely felt remorse for killing an innocent child, you probably would try to repair your behavior and not continue on with the type of aggressive attitude that he seems to have, and he probably wouldn't try to sue their family. So I find it very hard to feel bad for him in any sense. I could potentially have if there was some sort of mental illness involved, which maybe he has, but to me he just seems like he has that personality history that just kind of shows that he's a confrontational person with viewpoints that contributed to his belief that this child was actually an aggressor when he was not.
So let me ask this question, $1 million question.
Real quick, Liz P. Hughes, you right on target.
Is there ever an acceptable time for vindication? Would you say that if anything had happened to them, or let's say somebody had decided, you know what, you killed this kid, we're gonna do to you what you did to him, would they have been justified? Would anybody have been justified? And I'm asking this question because you have people, not everyone, but you have a group of folks that believe in eye for an eye, and that's the only way to really get justice. So I'm asking the panel, do you see it that way?
I'm gonna say no, because for the parents, that was their wish first, and then two wrongs don't make a right. But I'll leave it at that.
Coach, you've been quiet for a minute. I want to hear what you guys say. I got you, Sid.
Well, I mean, you know, it's all been covered before, so there's no need of beating a dead horse. But no, it's definitely not a time where anything is justified as far as being vengeance-wise or warranted. You know, we don't live in a wild, wild west, and everything that we do, we're supposed to be fighting for the greater good. You know, having a justice system and all those things. So, you know, it would be contradictory to say that it was, but that it wasn't. So no.
Go ahead, Sid. You got it.
I think to me, the point which I like, if I was on the jury, the fact that he pursued him despite 911 telling him not to me, that is the line for me, because I could feel bad for you. I could see you needing to be, as you said, vindicated if it was an honest mistake. Like, I heard somebody breaking into my backyard. I shot out into the dark. I didn't know he was a kid. I'm so sorry. Like, there's a very big difference between that and I'm following this person. A 911 is telling you, stop, do not pursue, wait for police, stop following. Are you still following him? And he still kills him. That is malicious. You are defying law officials telling you not to do something that are experts in emergency situations. You were told to wait for police and you didn't. You still took it into your own hands. You weren't even a security guard. You were neighborhood watch. That, I feel like that's, at that time, that's probably the only reason why he got away with it, because they're, among other things, because, that was his position. That was his role. Like, he was just protecting the community. But they didn't care to factor in his mental history and his preconceived notions of people of color, basically. So to me, I don't think that he deserves to be vindicated at all, because he's directly responsible for the murder of a child, even while being coached by 911 what to do. So yeah, he's definitely guilty, murdering that, as was said in the chat, murdering the child.
Yeah, what I meant by vindication, I didn't mean like, oh, he was justified in what he was doing. I meant, oh, you killed a black kid, so I'm gonna stand up for the black culture, and then I'm gonna kill him for him. That whole, I'm gonna do to you because you did to them, and because the courts are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So if the courts are not going to do what they are supposed to be doing, we can't wait no more. I'm just going to take matters in my own hand. That's what I was more or less referring to. But I do see a point. I don't believe in tit for tat. I don't believe in eye for eye. It takes like extreme situations for me to look at it differently than that, but not.
So for me, right? So that's all fine and dandy, but where's the same uproar when you got your black on black crimes? So that's why I would draw the line, and I would start to ask the question, because this is something that happened, it was 5 or 6 years ago, and it's great to still talk about it. But what are we doing about the shit that's going on in today? You know, between your hip hop, your rap, and all this other shit that you consume and you do every day, and the people are doing it to themselves, to their own culture. So I would just say you can't pick and choose when you want to play the game, and that's all this shit sounds like. It's just picking and choosing. You know what I'm saying? People go around blasting people's heads off and doing all kinds of shit every day. Chicago, DC, Detroit, New York, everywhere. And if we as a people ain't upraised and had enough about that kind of stuff, you know, I think it's just picking and choosing. So for me, I don't really find a lot to divulge into it, because there's so many other things, again, that we can be talking about. But this is just one instance out of so many.
Well, I hear what you're saying, Coach. The only thing is, as a child, he was what?
You shouldn't be? How many people out there there's kids dying every day?
Oh yeah, but not like that though. I don't think. You know what I mean? Though, like,
come on now, don't do that. Go ahead. I'm listening. Go ahead.
This he was maliciously followed for walking through a neighborhood. It's just like the guy they shot for jogging through the neighborhood. He stopped, checked out the house. They rolled up on him. Like, so you write about the gang stuff and all of that, but this was purely ethnic. I ain't want to say race, because to me it's no such thing as race. But it's a totally different. And what I'm thinking about to deep question is, it's a well-known fact that two things in our community: we're docile when it comes to, a lot of times, to standing up to our bullies. And then also, we are the most forgiving people in the world. Whether we forgive or not, we don't show it. A lot of times, they got this new show on BET. I don't know if y'all saw it yet, but it was showing people who were falsely accused of criminal behavior by whites, Europeans, or whatever. And a lot of those shows, those guys did 10, 20 years, easy, max prison for things like rape. I say it like that. And they came out, and a lot of time they had forgave the people. You know what I'm saying? And after something like that, it's like, so where you at, Coach? I'm with you, because you're right. We do a lot of crazy stuff to each other. But usually, I'm from the old era to where there was a thing called no woman, no kids. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I had to draw the line at, to where this was a child. He fought him like he was an adult. You can't expect the child to be able to beat you as an adult. Then you got a gun on you. Then again, like Sydney, that's my whole thing. The dispatch is telling you not to pursue this kid. So you willingly pursued this kid. You willingly engaged him, because you could have said, yo, all right, I'm gonna stop right here since y'all said don't engage. He went that way. He wasn't doing nothing, and this is a child. So in a case like this, I kind of get up in arms about it, because at the end of the day, you know, if it was our children, if it was your child, Coach, we fight for that. Like, you're not finna just mess with my child. This is a child. I could see an adult. I could see if he came through and kicked the door and ran. I could see if he stole his Skittles from the store, and you know what I mean. But even at the end of the day, this is a child. He's a minor. So you can't get no points or no, because at the end of the day, we don't condone killing our kids neither. It's a lot of stuff going on, but I know for a fact, none of us here condone our kids getting shot in the street, shot dead. We don't condone gun violence and all that. You know what I'm saying? And if I did before, I make sure every day now that I don't never support anything like that, especially in our community.
Right. So, and I'm with you, right? So what you just said was you talked about condoning, you talked about that individual, doing some things. But what I'm saying is nothing's ever been said about that individual watching how we honor and value ourselves, right, as a community. And so if we don't honor and value ourselves as a community, my question would be is how do you hold somebody else to a higher standard than you hold your own community? So if they got it by watching us not value ourselves, it's a learned behavior. So they're learning by watching us treat each other like animals. And also they're treating us like animals. So I'm saying if we don't hold ourselves accountable and we lash out to somebody else that does something through learned behavior, we're picking and choosing. That's all I'm saying. And then when you say you're from the school of not women and children, hey man, I'll be 49 this year, so I get what you're saying. That shit no longer exists. It's 2026. The parallels of comparing, the 70s and the 80s to 2026, man, that shit is null and void. Understanding the way the world is going on today and how to navigate and then educate people and talk about, things, that's what we should be doing. And I'm not condoning, don't get it fucked up. I'm not condoning what he did by any means, but I'm just saying is the perception seems to be that we lash out so hard when somebody outside the community does something and we say how we're such a tight-knit community. If we were so tight-knit and we were so together, how is this stuff happening to begin with?
Yeah, that's a whole different thing. And, I've spoken about that a few times. Matter of fact, I hate it. I hate the industry itself because of what it promotes. I hate the leaders that they put in position to teach us and show us what love is supposed to look like, what healing is supposed to look like. I really am an advocate of saying we need to boycott a lot of this stuff that's out here. It's wrong on both sides. Nobody wins. And it's very hypocritical of us to look at this story and not really think about, well, shit, we just killed somebody his age too. We just burnt somebody up in a car and left them discarded. We just killed a 19-year-old and it's on both sides. And if I just rewind back to something I said earlier, there is still some of us out there that we don't move like that. That's why I said, like, I'm proud and I'm torn because, like, all right, we have a group of us out there that's saying, you know what, he right here, he live in our backyard, and he's homeless. They could easily do something to him if they wanted to, but because there's something in them that does not want to reflect that ignorance and that anger, as much as the stereotypes are against us, there's still a lot of us out here that's saying, you know what, we're gonna let God deal with you. So I can't say you wrong, but I wanted to point out that there is still some good examples to a certain extent.
I'm rocking with everything y'all saying. That was about 5 years ago, so that means a good thing to do would be to tap in who was affected 5 years ago, right? In school, in high school, whatever the case may be, and then try to figure out what's their trajectory and how that affected them. Does that push you further into law school to try to affect change within law? Because all we're talking about is doing ignorant shit, putting hands on people, putting hands and feet to people and stuff like that. And that's not going to change anything. So how did the trajectory change? And then how do we change by trying to influence our kids and people that's growing up underneath us? Did we try to push them further into the system, try to make change within? You know, what do we try to do as a people to try to change this trajectory other than just saying, putting hands and feet on somebody? Because that seems to be the answer for everything. Foot the ass, fucking somebody up. That's not it. So what exactly is the change that you want to see that comes from it? You know, you're talking about it 5 or 6 years later. So, and if there's a change that you wanted to see, what has been implemented? Because we talk about structure all the time. So what type of structure, what type of designs, what type of things are we doing to make change? And if we aren't, and we just talking about wearing sweaters and hoodies, that's why I'm saying the difference comes into play. That's all I'm saying. So again, it's what are we doing? Not the GoFundMes, you know, not videos and telegrams to talk about what we could and should and raise these funds. What are you doing so the next young person doesn't get hit by that stray or that individual overzealous security guard with a flashlight that's authorized to carry a weapon that's out there, you know, creating havoc in that public? So what are we doing?
So to answer your questions, first we changed the way we parent. We had to go back to not letting our children go everywhere. We definitely having the conversations about gun violence with our children. And we definitely more vigilant, because I'm like Liz P. Hughes. If it was my child, I don't know if I would be as gracious and blessed as I have seen, because I know they hurt. And
Let me pause you there, Rod. Let me pause you there.
Go ahead.
Because you mentioned the weapons. Are we teaching these young folks how to use weapons? Are we teaching them weapon safety and weapon management? Are we teaching them that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that I'm doing, but I've been seeing more and more and more people of color, especially on the internet, training their children on how to use weapons properly, what they made
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then we're exposing right now, no more than ever before, especially on just a simple app like X, we are exposing the 12-point system that still works heavily against us. It used to be, I'm gonna say with this guy right here in office, they pretty much just came in plain sight again. They used to be able to hide it in plain sight to where you would think. It's something simple as like in New York, we didn't think that certain cultures were held down because of who they were, but you knew it. You know, they said, well, New York was a good place. New York was just as institutionally racist as Florida was for years. So I think in a lot of, with a lot of thought, we are able to talk about these things, and then we are able to expose the ills of these systems that continue to rear their head. And Deep had asked a question a while ago to where I wanted to address that, to where this is not just today's programming. Certain groups have been programmed to hate themselves from the womb for over 400 years. Whether Willie Lynch was a person or not, whatever, that the theories and the thoughts and the actions that have been played out in so many different ways to where you almost can't get a leg up. When you talk about the Black community, the first thing we don't do is work together. That's the hardest thing. If you could get us to go in the same direction. So what you're seeing now is you're seeing people of color coming together saying, you know what, we're going to work together in the midst of this. At least you got 2 or 3, because at the end of the day, the self-hate has been ingrained in us. The willingness to let our oppressors and our bullies get away with things and forgive them You know how they used to say with the Jesus thing, if they slap you on the cheek, don't slap and turn the other cheek. If they hate on you here, dust your feet off 7 times, 7,000 times. Nobody else does that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that to a certain extent that has hurt us the most, because at the end of the day, when we're not able to do things some simple, go to war, because it's like an automatic loss. All they have to do is poison the water systems or whatever they want to do. We are pretty much defeated. But at the same time, the one thing that they know that they cannot stop is our resilience and our ability to adapt and adjust and thrive in situations like this. So what that did right now, I think it definitely helped in the way we parent our children, in the way we educate our children. And then just this platform right here helps a whole lot, because we are able to speak out in a way that hopefully this never happens again.
To add to that, I've talked to my mother-in-law about this a lot. For those of you that don't know who I am and my background, my husband's side of the family is Black, and my mother-in-law specifically grew up in the South during the 60s, 70s. My husband has had his own experiences with racism when he lived in New Hampshire in the 2000s. And this is something we talk about a lot, how to keep our kids safe, because unfortunately in this world, if you're not like sheet white, you're Black, you're the community that they don't like, and a lot of people will automatically see you as the problem. Luckily there's a lot of good people out there that are willing to stand up, but there's also a lot of people out there that are not, as we're seeing right now, even today. And so, as I said, this is a conversation we've been having. What kinds of things are we going to teach our children to keep them safe? And one of the aspects is it kind of goes both ways, where they have to understand how to protect themselves, but they also, as my mom has said, the first part of self-defense is avoidance, understanding how not to get into these situations, how to like which areas not to go to, how to like notice red flags in people that you don't want to be associating with, how to identify people's behavior when they're being escalatory, and how to remove yourself from the situation before it even gets to the point that it could become hazardous. And so kids, I think, they need to understand the law, how the law works, how the whole system kind of works in public situations and whatnot, so they understand what to do and what not to do, who to reach out to, how to reach out to people, how to properly call 911 if you need to. Also, kids should understand gun safety from the side of what do you do if you see a gun? How do you handle it? When to like not touch it, or when to like where to get help. And also, if you have to, how to handle that gun safely so you don't end up injuring yourself and people around you. There was a recent case of a child in school who got in trouble because he found a gun at school, and his father had told him how to empty the gun, and he did that, and he got in trouble for being the one handling the weapon. So our kids need to understand how to navigate these situations as well, so they can properly manage without accidentally hurting themselves. And then lastly, kids need to understand limitations, really, like when you should not be out, because at this point in time, and just as it has been in the past, it's not safe to be out after dark. It's not safe to be out alone. If you're going to be out alone, you should be in a group with trusted friends. You need to know that you have to notify people where you're going to be, when you'll be back, so people know when to expect you, how they can reach you. Let's say your phone dies, how they can reach one of your friends. Kids need to be taught common sense, but also almost adult rules of how to keep themselves out of situations and what to do. Because I think one of the issues is that especially towards the 90s, parents started to infantilize their children and started to, I'm just not going to tell you anything. I'm going to keep you from the horrors of the world by just like, you're not going to know about any of it. You're not going to be able to go outside by yourself. You're not going to be able, you don't need to see what's on the news because you're a child. I had that experience myself where my mom didn't teach me a lot of things because she was like, oh, well, you're not an adult. You don't have to worry about it. And there was a lot that I wish that I had known to keep myself safe. And that is something that we have to return to, where we have to trust that our children will make the right decision, but we need to give them that right information so they can make the best choices for themselves, for their safety, for their friends as well. We can't blindfold them and expect them to turn out fine, because if you don't give them any information whatsoever, they're going to think the world is all safe and anyone can be trusted and they can go in anyone's house and it'll be fine. So the era of stranger danger needs to come back. These kids need to understand how to keep themselves safe out and about.
I want to address two things. This post right here, and then the one prior. The one where you were speaking about why people aren't over the Martin case. Kind of goes back to something that we spoke about earlier about running back to traumas. Here's the thing. Karma does not look like gun violence all the time. Karma doesn't mean that you're going to get poisoned with arsenic. Karma doesn't mean that you're going to slip down some steps and then break your neck. Sometimes karma might mean you end up on the street and you end up an addict. Karma might look like you lose your job and it's hard for you to find another position because of the type of character you have. Karma might look like you contracting an STD or something that you can't get rid of. Karma might mean that your significant other backstab you. It varies. And so I think what people don't understand is it's not immediate. Some things don't go the way that you want them to go. Like we expect immediate bad shit to happen to people. Oh, you did me dirty. I hope you fall. It don't work like that. Some things happen in a progression that you just need to stay the hell out of. Just get out the way and let God do it the way he needs to do it. We get in the way of things too much. And instead of letting life do what it's supposed to do for that person, because our walks are different. Our paths are different. What hurts me might not hurt you. So if I receive something that is karma, you might not look at it like that, because to you, that's not a punishment. To me, it might be torture. And so I think that's a lot of reasons why people ultimately just can't be okay with what's happening to them. They don't think that's enough. That's why I was like earlier, people don't really think that he's really going through. Now I'm like, bro, you got 9 lives, my nigga. 9 lives. God is trying to use you for something. I don't know what, but he's definitely trying to use you for something. It's not for us to understand what his plan is for him. There's a lot of people out here just like him and worse. That he might have something that he needs from them before whatever. Now, to go to this second part, I did a story not too long ago where they actually hung a black kid. He was 7 years old. They hung him in the bathroom. in an elementary school. You would think that this stuff don't happen, but you saying this right here, it further disproves that, like everybody has said, there's a lot of conversations that are not being had with their children. Communication is awful. That's what it sounds like. And the final thing that I want to point out, and I'll turn it over to anybody if you want to add on, conclude anything, wrap this up. I want to say this, right? Going back to what Coach has said initially, another thing that we can do to progress this is to teach people that there are pros and cons. What are the pros and cons to using your intellect over your emotions? Because it seems like emotions outweigh logic, and emotions are outweighing intellect. For whatever reason, it seemed like you being smart is just awful for some reason. I don't know, but I yield the mic.
When you act with your intellect over your emotions, number one, you're going to be a lot more calculated because you're going to be thinking things through, thinking through the details. Because when somebody responds with emotion, they're being reactive. And oftentimes, when you're being reactive, you're not giving yourself a chance to consider the situation, consider the consequences, understand the different variables involved in the situation. And more often than not, emotional decisions are rash decisions. And rash decisions often have unintended consequences because you didn't think it through. You didn't anticipate what could possibly happen. So when you think with your head and you make decisions with your head, you're more likely going to make the better decision because you're giving yourself a chance to process the situation thoroughly, understand the consequences of what you are going to do. And honestly, it could potentially save your life and the lives of other people because you're actually thinking through whatever's happening in front of you.
The floor is open to anybody who want to say something before we get up out of here.
Go ahead, Coach. Your wheels turning, Coach.
No, I'm good, man. I think everybody hit on some good points, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, again, we just got to talk about forward movement and traction. You know what I mean, and how we can get to where we need to be. You know, as long as we keep things solutions based, you know, I think we're on the right track. Great conversation, great input from everybody.
I think too, I want to address the hate. Like, I think to hate the right now we're in an era where hate is like normal, jealousy, envy, and I think a lot of it comes from the fact that it's hard for us to address the people who are oppressing us. We don't have the say so. So instead of banding together and going at the oppression, the easy route is to take each other out. And what I'm learning over time is that all of us have the same. When you really look, when you take skin and you take language away, we all have the same problems. You know what I'm saying? So I think as people together, we gotta address the self-hate, and then we gotta address it in a way to where the people that are not changing. It's one thing that changed. If he came out, Zimmerman I'm talking about now, had he came out and he changed and he did community service, or he made an effort to show that he was ultimately sorry for what he had did, then maybe he'll get a better response than the carrying on. Because again, that's only the Bible that I see, that you could just come back and all of a sudden everybody's supposed to treat you different. But I think we gotta find a way to band together and see that, okay, you know what, we got all the same problems, and let's work together so that all of our kids don't have the same problems. I'm definitely with you, Coach, all the way to where we want all our kids to be safe in the street. We don't want nobody hated. We don't want stereotypes knocking our kids out. We don't want none of that. So I think that it's a thing in this society to where we're locking in on each other, but we're not looking at the main problem, and the main problem is playing right in our face. You know what I'm saying? And until we come together and address those issues, those things are happening. But I know at the same time too, though, a lot more people are protecting our children. We gotta. One thing when they wrong, you can't protect them. But for the most part, we all need to work together to make sure that these kids have a fair shot at having a life and becoming who they can be.
I might have to clip that last little portion right there. We confront each other, but we won't confront our oppressors. Yo, that was some deep shit. I ain't gonna hold you. I had to sit back and really think about that, man. Because we've spoken about it before, and I'm gonna close. I do want to say thank you to everybody that's in the building. Damn, Coach, why you do that, man? I blame you for that. Nah, because
apologies, man. 1,000 pardons, man.
Nah, cause you was right though. It was like we talk about Zimmerman and that, but like we hate each other for real too. And then I'm like, all right, man, he just closed it up with that part. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. Why we got all this anger and this all this animosity towards us, but is it really towards us? Are we really mad at each other, or are we mad at somebody else, but we're not addressing the actual problems?
Like you just said, man, you said karma comes in different ways and truth comes in different ways. You got to take it how you get it, man. You know what I mean?
Hey, great show. Salutes to everybody in the building. Appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. I'm about to chop this up. You're going to see some of these posted in the next 24 hours. Sydney, I can't tag you on IG, but I'm going to make sure, they know, you know what I mean, that you was here. Liz, I appreciate you for being here. I see, Figure Me Out. I see you, brother. Appreciate you for tapping in with us.
Bang, 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 bang.
We about to get up out of here, though. Tomorrow, Lord willing, we be back. We're going to cut it up some more. Another good show. You guys enjoy the rest of your evening. And yeah, we about to get up out of here. Do me a solid. Before you go, if you don't mind, do me a real quick favor.
Push the goddamn button.
Peace.